this behavioural addiction, gambling, is something I've been blessed to not have been attached to, but I've been talking to some people who have.
The real solution is spiritual.
Welcome to Marriage Together. Please subscribe, like and share.
Burning, you're going to smell like souls. Sold the house, start stealing off her. I'll wake up early hours of the morning, I'll just empty her bank account. Just to be in the bookings first thing in the morning. Think that was masturbation, I knew about the masturbation.
Welcome to Together for Better podcast.
Because like you said, if not for the fear of God and holding you together and the love, maybe we won't be here today.
Yeah.
So just ensuring
So
all
I just
of
want to
that.
answer this question. You see, isn't it amazing? It's important. I started the podcast by physical side of things. Because now you're seeing the importance of God in everything. Absolutely. I'm not going to lie to you. There are times whereby, you see, I tell people the verses in the Bible is God Himself. But if you haven't got a relationship with the Bible, how are you going to then be able to use this for your marriages when things are going wrong? You've mentioned 2 verses in the Bible there, but I just want to it's the Bible that holds my relationship together. There are times whereby she trusts me. I've gone on a business trip for like a year. I mean, I've been a year away. She trusts me. But I told her when I came back on one of those trips, I said, it's not because of your beauty or how much I loved you that held it together. It's the fear of God that held that relationship together.
But in saying that, that's going to vice versa as well.
Yeah, that's it goes vice versa. She can say exactly. That's what I'm saying.
If there is no trust,
Exactly.
then there is no marriage.
That's it.
The first trust is God, trusting that God is going to hold you together, working together as one instead of two. And that is why a lot of marriages do not work. Because of course you're going to go through, I call it turbulences. You know, you're going to go through so many turbulences within your marriage, with your children, with your work, with your, whatever it is that you're doing. When you don't have God as the pillar, it's not going to stand. And this is why there's a lot of broken homes. The first thing is, and I say this to my children, those that are old enough to marry, etc. I say to them, do not have a relationship with someone that doesn't fear God, because when you have a relationship with someone that doesn't fear God, they're going to use you and abuse you because there is no fear of God. Do you understand? When you have the fear of God, I'm not talking about church going, I'm not talking about mosque going, I'm talking about the relationship between you and God and understanding the impact of God in your life. There are certain characters that you cannot do because you have that fear of God. Does that make sense? Henceforth, what you do not know, you cannot practice. When you have the fear of God, there are certain things that the Holy Spirit will not allow you to do to your spouse. First of all, even to yourself. You know, self-love, and then after that, it's to your spouse. So God brings everything together permanently. There's such a thing. 28 years is not a joke. It's not a walk in the park. And between I and my husband, we've been through so much. That's another day.
No, that's going to be today. That's going to be today. That's my next question.
The thing is, you're talking about 28 years. We can't talk about that. We can't cover it in 30 minutes. Do you understand? And it's not just the experience, it's the teaching and the learning of the turbulences. Because look at us, we're still standing by the grace of God. So that those turbulences have not broken up. But they are stories. And you know, there's one thing reading it in the Bible, and this is why we share a lot of ourselves on social media. Because there's one thing reading it in the Bible, is another thing having somebody that's actually been through it and still standing by the grace of God. So that's why we share a lot of our stories. And even when we're ministering, we're not the typical pastors. I say it all the time. We don't stand in the box. We allow people to realize that pastors are also humans, and they have their own challenges. And regardless that you have God in your life, you're still going to go through the furnace of the fire. And yes, the fire might not burn you, but you're going to smell like smoke. Because when you come out of a house that's burning, you're going to smell like smoke. You understand? So we don't, what's the word I use? We don't butter it, we don't buttress anything. Because I believe buttressing things is limiting God.
Yeah.
Let people understand what you've been through and how God in His mightiness and His greatness has brought you out of the disaster of what it is that you're going through. That is who God is. You know, what you're going through and you pass through it, your testimony is glory to God all the way. Do you understand? There's nowhere in the Bible that says you're not going to go through experiences. You're going to go through the furnace. Jesus went through it, so what makes you different? You're going to go through it. In your marriage, you're going to go through it. With your children, you're going to go through it. With your work, you're going to go through it. So, yes, that's normal. Those are trials of life, trials and tribulations of life. How you handle it is important. Who you have around you is important. Do you understand? What your focusedness is important. And these are the things that breaks people up. When you stop walking as one, when you stop walking as one in marriage, that's going to break you. Because God has brought us in this world together as in your marriage as one. When one person, I'm trying to run after the boss, he's trying to run after the train. Two different goals cannot work together.
Yeah.
And that's why the marriages break up. There is no communication, there is no mutual respect for each other. When all of that is gone through challenges, you've got to sit down and think, okay, how are we going to resolve it? Because many of these things, reality is, it can go.
Yeah.
You can start disrespecting your husband very easily. You have a husband that's not working for many years. You can't start disrespecting, believing in your own hype as a wife.
Yeah.
Because I'm the provider right now. Okay, so henceforth. No. These are the things that happen in real life marriages. Do you understand? And you know, we as a wife, I can only speak from the aspect of a woman. You know, everything we do. We were in we had the fellowship on Friday evening, and they were saying that some of the things that we went through, how do we go through it? How do we come through it? I guess that's your next question.
So, sorry, hold that on. That's the question. My next question was really going to be the challenges you've been through. What are they and how have you been able to overcome it? And what values has, I guess, held you together? And I think you've kind of mentioned some of it because you mentioned God, communication, mutual respect.
Even in the family. We are Africans, we're Nigerian. Anybody that's hearing my voice knows what I'm talking about. There's so many challenges even in the family. You know, your parents, his parents, my parents, etc. There's so many of that. So there's so many challenges. But the main key is not apportioning blames, which marriages, you know, it can get to that. You have to understand what God means by marriage. Marriage is like serving God. To serve God, you have to be patient. To see the results of serving God, you have to be patient. And I say this, marriage is like a plant, it's like a flower. What do you do for it to keep living? You have to give it water, you have to give it sun, you have to nurture it. That's what marriage is. Do you understand? So, and that's it. How do we go through our challenges? So many challenges. One, I think I spoke to you know, because there was a time my husband was gambling. And that's a big one. Addiction is a big one. And a lot of marriages are dealing with addiction. They don't know what to do with it. In and out of church. They don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to handle it. The number one key is God. It really is. Therapy, fantastic. Yeah. Everything else that's out there to help addiction, brilliant. But number one key is God and not giving up on that person. That's the number one key. And of course, whether it's a man that's gambling, whether it's a woman that's gambling, it's tiring. And that's why you need God, because you cannot physically do it by yourself. You need the top-up strength, which is God. He keeps you focused. He keeps you, because remember, there is the addicted person, which is your loved one, and you know the repercussion is not even the person that's addicted. You know, there's a saying, they say the sick person is sick. It's the person that looks after the sick has to be careful that they don't fall sick.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So, yes, you're dealing with addiction and your spouse has, you know, you're both dealing with it because it's affecting you both. But you as a person then need God to stand because you're nursing that person that's sick. You know? And I was saying this yesterday in ministry that many times when my husband was sleeping, I would lay my hands on him and pray over his life and speak the word of God into his life. I don't stand there and start cursing him, oh, this useless man. I didn't ever do that. A lot of women and men, when they're frustrated, they start speaking negative. What should be positive into that person's life? They start speaking negative. So how's that going to work? You cannot achieve hate with hate doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's love that conquers hate, love that conquers addiction, and everything else that the enemy is out there throwing at marriages is love and patience from God. God, love, patience. God is love.
God is love, exactly.
Yes. God is patience.
Yes.
You know, God is perseverance. All these things that's there that you need. That's why I say you need God. Because physically you cannot do it. You're human. You cannot do it physically. And I say this even to my kids. I said to them, it's okay to be afraid. Just don't sit in that fear. You know, and that is exactly how it is with addiction. Dealing with addiction, I think I was addicted for many years. My husband was addicted to gambling for many years. And that almost wrecked us, if not for the grace of God. We lost so many things through it. We lost so many things through it. But because of the grace upon our lives and the fact that we know God, we understand his impact, you know, and we understand the power of God and what he can do, what he cannot do does not exist, because as long as you put it in his hands,
You do it.
you will get there. It takes time, it takes perseverance. You can't do it by yourself. You know, it takes understanding. That's all God.
Thanks for that.
Challenges. As she said earlier, 28 years, you can't paraphrase it in 28 years.
Yeah.
This said most, because I hope this program is going to help people to know what the foundation of marriage, what marriage is really all about. It's all about being selfless, sacrifices, persevering, being patient, being humble, being meekful. If you have kindness, if you haven't got those characters, the marriage can't work, because challenges are going to come. Now, to start back with challenges, because I could go, I like things like this, because this is how our ministry came about. This ministry that God Lord gave us, that we're doing, came back from what happened from hard experiences. And it's like saying, go out there and speak about it, and then it's going to help. That's why it was nice when you told me that we're going to be coming and doing it. Because being real is really important. People need to relate to people who are being real. Addiction just didn't start one day. Because I want to say what I'm going to say now, whether parents will try their best as much as possible. You can only try your best as much as possible. Not to make sure that, one, that some of yours goes to prison, because all these habits came up when I went to prison. Probably before I went to prison, I was never knew nothing about gambling. There's another thing I picked up when I went to prison too as well, where like, being locked away, it's a different thing entirely. So I came out with gambling, and I came out with masturbation addiction too as well. And I went on for years, being locked behind bars. When I came, I actually didn't know that. Didn't know that. So I got married to her. So you can see I brought my own shenanigans into the marriage. Now, about the gambling, I was to break it down to this two phases. The gambling, you start feeling like you're in control of things. Control. Gambling, any spirit, you see, any form of addiction is like a spirit that came from nowhere. And it's only the spirit that can take that spirit out.
Yes.
So, addiction, masturbating, gambling, not knowing what's behind bars, I found. But even finding God is not just a day. It's a process. Because as God is taking it that way, the other man is trying to take it. So before knowing God, masturbation and addiction has kicked in. So he's trying to say, I'm not going to lie to you. Now, I married her. For my addiction, I sold our house. Behind her back.
Oh my God.
profit of 120,000, I pumped it back into gambling again. So you can see what marriage is all about. You know, she cried for a whole day. I had to leave the house. And reality started kicking in. What the hell is going on? I had to go down on my knees and said, see, when addiction kicks in, people don't understand until you go on your knees and said, Father, you need help. Don't get me wrong, therapists are doing what you can do. Gambling Anonymous can try what they can do. It's two different things entirely. Everything to life is physical and spiritual. And that's what God's trying to say. What he said in Psalms 1 verse 3. Meditate. You have to have a relationship with Christ. If you don't, he will stay back. And as he said in Revelation 3:20, he said, I'm on that door waiting. You knock, and then I'll come into it. If you don't call him into your life in situations, believe it or not, you'll die in that situation. He's the only one that can help when these kind of things happen. Now, to get sold the house, start stealing off her. I'll wake up early hours of the morning, I'll just empty her bank account. Just to be in the bookies first thing in the morning. Same I was masturbating, I never knew about masturbating. But it got to a stage where when you now realize that you need help, I've done the help on the physical, and I just realized, guess what? God, you're the only one that can help me. Just like the story of the prostitute that came on that day and they went to stone her, she had enough. And Christ knew that she had enough. And she was willing to say, you're the only one that can help me. That's what my situation had to be. But look at that. All that happened in that 28 years. She never once exposed me. She never once told nobody. And she was, the day I admitted, I was crying. I sold all the gold trinkets. I pawned everything in the house. I sold the house. So you can see what marriage takes. Patience, perseverance, meekness, humbleness. She never took down on me one day. Remember I told you that I came out of prison? Remember when I went to the prison, I was like a millionaire when I went to prison. When I came out, I was a zillionaire, nothing. For 6 years, I couldn't get no job. Marriage, she was the one holding the house together. Only on her wages.
The children.
And the children were there as well. And we had friends and family that went on. We were just talking, I'm not lying to you, we were just talking about this in fellowship yesterday. Marriage, it takes so long. That is why, going back to the two questions probably before this question, the book of Peter, verse 7, I think verse 3, First Peter 3, verse 7, he said, husband, be considerate to your wife in order for your prayers to be answered. God is a fair, she does things equally. That is what always happens. She stood by you those days. You now need to stand by her. See, he said, if you have a relationship with Christ, how do you even know that? That's the reason why homes are breaking. God is imperative in everything that we're doing. Unity is what he said, 1, 2, I am the third. Because I said we had this like last month. I'll get the verse later, I'll try to remember before we leave. We see that saying, what they say in church. What God has joined together. But what did he say? It's what he joined together. Not what Celestine and somebody says they want to put together. Not what fella and somebody said they want to put together. And like what you said earlier, he's the one that's going to search that wife for you. You just need to be patient and wait for him when he's going to give you that husband, that wife. But are we doing that anymore now? It's only what he says he put together. Nobody can destroy. But anything else that he didn't put together, it's easy to destroy. That's the key to it.
It's important to marry another person. A lot of marriages go on, I'm attracted to him.
Or he's a good person, or she's a good person.
People go down 6-pack. It's a physical thing that we pay for.
Now, at the end of the day, that physical world, after many years,
That's what's happening.
It's the fear of God that keeps your marriage together. Because if you follow the flesh, what you married 28 years ago might not be what you say now. And remember, you're growing all the time. We grow different ways. The fear of God keeps your goals together. The fear of God keeps you together. The fear of God keeps your marriage together. And I was saying this yesterday when I was fellowship. Our older son there's some things that when he was doing that, was doing that, he got under my skin. But I used to say to him, I said to him, I want to report you people. And the expression on his face is like, I slapped him. It just makes him sit up like, oh my God. So, he got to the age when you can't chastise them.
No.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
They're big now.
They're big now.
Get out of my house, okay?
Oh my God, exactly. He's taller than both of us. So how do you chastise him? So I'll be like, I'm going to report you. His face will be like, oh my gosh, going to report. It's almost like saying to him, she's going to report me to an older parent or something. Something in me saying that to him always made him retreat and catch himself. Because the seed is planted. You have, I say this to my kids, both female and male, you have to be with someone that fears God. Yes. Because when that person fears God, one, you can sit together, you can reason together. Two, you can get into the word. If you don't understand what you're going through, you can get into the word, the book of life, which is what the Bible is. If you are with someone that's got no interest, you're going to be fighting that battle for yourself for a long time. And that's the reason why marriages don't last. Because after a while, you're going to be like, I can't do this by myself anymore. So there's so many challenges in marriages, but you know what? God is good. And He's able.
Yeah. So, wow. Thank you very much for that. So, through all of that idea, I have to ask, like he said, you were in tears, the house was gone, and everything, your jewelry. How did you feel?
How did I feel? Gosh. There was a time that, and funny enough, not just my husband, even my kids, there was some I loved my husband, but I wasn't in love with him. I didn't like the things he was doing. And I'm human. I'm going to be mad. Very, very mad. But then I sat down. This is what I'm saying, that I've got to marry someone. I wasn't God fearing. I was like, you know what? That's the door. Use it. Shut it up to yourself and don't come back.
Yeah.
100%. Then I said to myself, okay, fine, sit down. Let's reason. I reasoned with God. I couldn't reason with him. Remember, he was my afflictor.
Yeah.
He was the cause of the pain. So I sat down and reasoned with God. One, I asked God to help me to forgive him. That's the number one. Forgiveness is a huge spirit.
Yeah.
Both in your marriages, even with your siblings, with your parents. There's no book. I first consciously ask God, in my house, we don't get married. And I say to my kids, because all marriage does is it just brings down and destroys. It destroys, it does not restore, and it makes you that you're keeping marriage, it makes you bitter. Yeah.
And it also opens door to negative spirits.
So many other negative things. So I had to sit myself down and say, God, okay, this is where I'm at. I'm very, 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 very angry. I'm upset. I hand it over to you. And it didn't happen overnight. To first get to the point where I was like, I want to forgive him. It didn't happen overnight. It was me constantly saying, God, I can't do this by myself. I acknowledge that. I can't do this by myself. I don't want my marriage to break. I can't do this by myself. I don't want to be a single parent again, because remember I said I met him when I was pregnant. So I was a single parent. I didn't want to be another single parent again. Nothing wrong with being a single parent. Everybody's cup of tea is different. For me, that wasn't what I wanted for myself. And like I said, we all set goals. So I had to go back to God and say, God, I hand this over to you. And that's what I did, even with my kids. I hand this over to God. I And then I became a prayer warrior. That's how I dealt with it. I became a prayer warrior. I would speak to God like He's right sitting in front of me, like my cup is right here. Because I realized that He has to be my rock. I realized that He had to be He's the foundation of the marriage. Only He can turn it around. I couldn't do it by myself. I can't. I acknowledge that. A lot of women, men, they don't acknowledge, they think it's within their power. It's not. It's not within your power. Did I want to slap him? Of course I did. Did I want to chuck him out? Of course I did. All the feelings that you would feel as a natural human being skin, you're going to feel it. And then you're going to get over it through God. And then when the healing process comes, then you can forgive. Apart from that, it wasn't just sitting down. He also, I think, let him acknowledge that you have to change. It's not just, I'm not just going to take this and be meek. As you can see, I'm not a very quiet person, I'm a very forward person. So it's not about, some people hear this and say, oh, maybe she's meek. I'm not a meek person at all. But I just say it as it is. I don't sugarcoat things. I say it as it is. This was my experience and this is how I conquered it. I sat him down and said, this needs to go with your character. I'm not going to sit here and take you for nothing. There's certain things we're going to set in place that has to go. And with you and your husband, you and your wife, need to sit and have that reality check. From there comes healing. From there comes forgiveness. When you are ready to forgive him, don't just say, I forgive you. Go on your knees and ask God to help you. Because it's also therapy. There is a physical therapy and there is a spiritual therapy which comes from God and no one else. Do you understand? So that's what we had to do. And it didn't happen overnight. It took a while. He had to gain my trust again. Yeah. Remember, he was checking. At one time, I couldn't leave my purse in the sitting room without my husband grabbing it and stealing from it. So it's a process. It was a process. It's like building a house again. You understand? And so through the grace of God and walking together as one and letting him know how it hurt me so much, I allowing him to acknowledge what he has done, the gravity of what he has done. Do you understand? Yeah. And then accepting that you want to help him. Because remember, someone that's addicted, they're sick. It's a sickness. Whether we want to acknowledge it or not. When we're angry, we say, oh, they're doing it on purpose. It's not. It's the same thing as somebody has cancer. Yeah. It's the same thing as somebody that has caught HIV. Maybe through blood, whatever it is. It's not something that you sit down and say, I want to be addicted to. It's the same thing as someone that's taking drugs. It's not something you go, people can say, oh, but they choose. I don't know. That's a conversation for another day. Because everybody's resilience is different. Yeah? Someone that's an alcoholic, they started once, maybe whatever they're going through trauma, they took up the alcohol. From there, it leads to something else. When you're addicted, you're out of control. Yeah, exactly. You're totally out
what's funny is they're trying to get control.
Yeah,
and they think it's actually, I'm in control. But actually, they are out of control.
Yeah. You're out of control, trying to. It's like you're running after your own shadow. Yeah. You know when you see a dog running after its tail. Everyone's witnessed that. That's exactly how addiction is. Because they can never catch that tail. So that's what addiction is, whether it's gambling, whether it's masturbation, whether it's alcoholic, whether it's everything that comes under addiction. It's a spirit. Physically, spiritually. You've got the physical alcoholic anonymous, whatever it is, therapy. You've got that. Then you've got to go on your knees and tell it to go. It's not going to happen overnight. But through God, through love, through working together as one, you can forgive that person and you can move on. Do you understand? We're talking about this addiction now. Addiction has been over now, maybe 10 years?
10 years ago. Yeah.
10 years.
No. Actually, Juwan, 16 years ago.
16 years ago. No.
When you had Juwan.
No. Our daughter is 16. That was when we broke down. He broke down. I'm like, okay, I've had enough now. I'm done with you. This is it. So, on the hospital floor, he was crying, I was crying. And then he said, okay. I said to my husband, either you do this, or I'm out. Sometimes you do have to give ultimatum. And then after her, we sat down, and this is the reason why we called by that name as well. That's why she's bearing that name, part of it, because of the
process of the journey.
The journey that we're on as well. You know. So we sat down, and the process of healing started, because then he acknowledged the things he was doing and how, and 16 years ago the process started. So I can say like 10 years
ago, that's when you finished it.
You know, that God took control. So you can see the years, you can see he's not
6 years.
Yeah, so that's,
you understand?
well, 6 years.
6 years. Is a healing.
Yeah,
that actually was right. Yeah, 2013. I went on the business trip. Yeah, that's when it started.
Do you understand?
Finally.
Yeah. So it takes time, and that is what people don't have. People don't want to have that time. Yeah. People don't want to have the patience. People don't want, because you think, oh, I can't take this. You can take this. You can look after your children. You can stick with that person that is addicted to whatever it is. I'm not saying there's no tough love. Part of my goals I said to him was tough love. You have to be able to do this. We have to do this. If not, we're going our separate ways. Yeah. Do you understand?
Just to answer the answer next question, if there's going to be, I think you're getting really intrigued, you're getting really.
I've got like 5 questions. Oh my God. No, we don't have time. They've got 28 years. No, just on the back of what you're saying.
The key to this, now we're talking in terms of physical and spiritual.
Yeah.
Everybody knows the spiritual side is God. The physical and the whole thing now, which is now missing in homes and marriages, is communication.
Yeah.
If we hadn't talked,
and that's what I said.
Pride kicks in so many times, they don't want to talk. Who wants to say, oh, yeah, I'm accepting that I want to be I'm a gambler, addicted, and I'm a masturbator?
Yeah.
Or either it could be vice versa. If it's a woman that's trying, maybe she's doing what she's doing, and that key to start talking is the key.
Communication.
That's the key to
that transparency as well.
That's needed.
Yeah.
It's now in the open. Yeah. It's a massive weight off your shoulder. Yeah. When it's now in the open. So by being open, they can now devise a plan and a journey how it's going to.
And I thought being transparent and walking in your truth.
Yes.
Walking in your truth and understanding that it's going to take God. It's going to take time. You know, those kind of, I call it a gift. It's a gift, and it's something that you can acquire. I'm not a patient person, but over the years, I've become quite patient. You understand? Because you can acquire the gift. You know, and God will give you that gift. If it's your husband, if it's your wife, you can acquire the gift of patience. Yeah. If it's your children, because there's lots is going on out there with our youth, you can acquire the gift of being patient. The gift of praying, interceding in that time when they are sleeping. The power of a praying mother, a praying wife. In fact, there's nothing like it. That is the master key. The master key is believing God, being prayerful, and working physically together as one. That's it.
You know, we said earlier, what God has joined together, let no. After we've gone through, God will never let it break. You see, He brings a scenario into your situation to teach you, and He's trying to. His character will become person. You know?
There you go.
I was the addictor, but it was something else that He wanted to learn to praying, be patient, be perseverant. He brought me into her life for other things too. So that's what God does. So when He brings us together, believe it or not, you're going to go to that fire, but you're not going to get burned. That's what it's all about.
Sometimes our expectation as women, addiction is a form of mental illness.
Subscribe,
trauma.
Till next week.
They come in different shapes and sizes, different looks. Better for you to be single than to be dead.
what advice would you give to couples